several deep cleansing breaths. As you take the breaths in, consider making them a double or a triple. As you take in your breaths, feel your back arch a little bit. Feel your shoulders drop. Feel your neck elongate. Consider allowing your hands to relax in your lap. Just breathing and breathing. I want you to visualize all of your chakras open, clear, bright, and extending 3 feet out beyond your body, luminescently shining all of the colors. That's right. I can see them all expanding out now. Your base chakra at the beginning of your Kundalini is a beautiful ruby red. This is at the base of the spine. The sacral, just below the navel, is a luminescent tangerine orange. The solar plexus, just below the bottom of the rib cage, is an amazingly bright lemon yellow. The heart, right at the heart area, is an emerald green. Sparks of pink in it. Your throat chakra, right at the base, around your thymus, is the most beautiful sky blue you've ever seen. Your third eye, right above the brow in the middle of the forehead. Imagine the deepest indigo sky, inky and dark and yet clear. At the top of your head, towards the back, is your crown chakra, gateway to the universe, an illuminating violet. See all of them clear and bright and open, channeling energy between the earth and the heavens, through you and from you, by you and around you. Now imagine this beautiful, luminescent white light, the center of your chest, right around your heart chakra. And imagine that expanding out, almost exploding like an energetic supernova from the center of your chest. And imagine the light from this going all the way down to the bottom of your feet, deep into Mother Earth, through the crust, through the Earth's mantle, all the way to the center, where there is an energetic, deep, black, crystalline structure that is the source of the energy of Mother Earth. And because we are crystalline beings, we resonate with this crystalline structure at the center of the earth. And we understand and we acknowledge that we are guests, honored guests of Mother Earth. That we create our habitats here, and everything about our existence here comes from the abundance of Mother Earth. The air we breathe, the water we drink, the food we eat, the shelters we create, everything that we we have comes from Mother Earth. And when you recognize and acknowledge this, so do you recognize and acknowledge that you live in an abundant universe. There is absolutely nothing that you can lack for when you acknowledge the beautiful, co-creative relationship filled with reciprocity and respect between us and Mother Earth. And as you see this light coming up through your feet now, coming back up to the center of your heart, see it going all the way up out of the top of your head, and see this light reaching for the heavens, going up out of this building into the Earth's atmosphere, into the galaxies beyond. Feel your connection to universal love and light. Recognize all the life forms out there in all the other galaxies, as we recognize and acknowledge that there is life in the 400 billion planets that exist in our Milky Way. And we are all connected through energy. Now see this beautiful light from your heart space going out horizontally in all directions. See it expanding out beyond your body, overlapping into all the people in this room. See it expanding out into the city of Lake Forest, county of Orange, state of California, all the way around this beautiful earth. See this energy from your heart just enveloping and hugging the entire earth. And recognize in this space what beautiful, complete, and divine, crystalline energy creation we are. And how, although we are individual, we are also connected to a source so vast and magnificent as to be beyond our earthly comprehension and expression, but yet, at the same time, in our hearts, knowing this to be true. Recognizing the power of who we are and what we are. In all space, all time, all dimensions, all paradigms, all frequencies. Feeling the strength and the energy of our creation. Whenever you're ready, you can just gently come back to the room, holding that energy in that space of who we are and what we are. Everybody back? Good morning. Kind of. So, I hope when I bring you back to the room that there aren't any ideas around having to leave that space and come back to this one. The idea of taking you to that space is to keep it with you. And the reason that we go in and connect to Mother Earth is so that we can be grounded in this process. There's a really cute YouTube video out there called SHIT that New Age girls say. And it's this cute woman who's just taking the mickey. She's just making fun of all of us. But she herself says these things, so she's actually making fun of herself. But one of the things that she was saying was, "Oh, don't talk to me now. I'm not grounded." And you have to kind of look at it. I mean, it was a little embarrassing at first. I mean, I think we all say most of the things that she says in there. But that is actually the point, is that when you ground, you can be in that state of connecting to the ethers all the time without bumping into walls and not being able to concentrate. Because if you are out of your body all the time, you're not present and you're not thinking clearly, and you are, as the expression goes, being a little woo-woo. So you want to ground all the time, because the more you anchor, then the deeper your connection to the higher realms can be without you being out of balance. Think of a very narrow champagne flute that only has a very small base. The top can only be really narrow, but the wider the goblet, the wider the base. So the wider the base, the deeper your grounding, the more energy you can allow in. Thank you to Gabriel. Wasn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
Yes. Lovely. And this is Jennifer Bonetto. She's our guest speaker today. She's going to be talking to us about feng shui. I think a lot of people know that it's about moving your space around and having a boudoir and certain colors and certain things, but it is really so much deeper than that. And that was the reason why I chose as my topic today that we are energetic beings. And everything we do, whether we recognize it or not, is so profoundly affected by the energy around us. Yesterday, myself and 3 other ladies, and they're not here today because we had such a long day today, but Tamara and Hideko and Kim and I drove out to Quartzsite, Arizona. We did a day trip of it, and we met at the temple here at 6:30 in the morning, drove 4 hours to Quartzsite, walked around for 7 hours buying all kinds of crystals, and then drove home. It was a really long day. I'm here and they're not. They're in trouble. they're at home just. But Kim kept asking me on the drive home. We had bought all of these crystals, and so next week when you come in, I'll have lots of new things in the gift shop that I bought there. But these crystals were all in the trunk of her car on the way home, and I was in the back seat because I said, since I'm got to do Sunday services tomorrow, I'm getting the back seat and I'm sleeping on the way home, which I did. And she kept saying, "How are you feeling back there with your back against all those crystals?" And I was just kind of like, what? And it was, feeling all of the energy of those crystals did have me in a little bit of a state. So why is that? Why do crystals, and why does energy and essential oils and music, why does it shift us and change us? How does it affect us? And is it real? And some people will say, well, I don't really feel anything. And some people say, I can't be in this room, and there's just too much in here. And some people are very sensitive to it, where some seem to be less sensitive. Well, those that don't think they're sensitive, they truly are, but their energy is blocked by a lot of negative thoughts or things that have brought their energy down that have disabled them from being able to connect to that energy. So things that would bring your energy down would be a lot of negative thoughts, really low vibrational food. Even if you eat food that is seemingly healthy, if it's got a lot of pesticides in it, or if you've destroyed it by putting it in the microwave. I mean, I really love that, having inorganic broccoli that you steam in the microwave. You might as well eat cardboard for as much nutrients as you're getting. Are you around other people that have negative energy? Are you around pollutants? Are you walking in a city all the time? I can't imagine people in New York and London, and especially in cities in Europe that don't have emission controls. My mother is English, and I used to go to London all the time, and just being in that city, there's no emission controls in the cars. We have to recognize how nice it is here that we have those, because when you spend time in a city, and you walk by and a bus goes by and you can see this black cloud of exhaust coming out and you're breathing it in and you start choking and sputtering. So that will bring down your energy levels. Listening to music that is not of a high frequency will bring you down. So when you have all of these low vibrational frequencies happening around you, the gap between the high vibrational frequencies and where you are could be so great that it's difficult for you to bridge that gap. And that's what will cause people to say, I've been holding crystals all day and I don't feel anything. Or those essential oils don't really have an effect on me. That simply means you've got some work to do to get your energy levels up high enough for you to even start accessing the vibrations. When you do get your energy levels up, then you can start noticing them. And for those people that say, oh, I'm just too sensitive and I can't take all of these crystals and this is just this, they're not grounded. So how do you take advantage of all of this beautiful energy around you through crystals and essential oils, organic foods, beautiful music, meditation, wearing cotton clothes instead of synthetic ones, being in a clean breathing air environment? You've got to be grounded. Then you can feel them. So it's kind of like you've either got to bridge the gap or you've got to be grounded enough to take advantage of them. Why do it? Because we are energetic beings. We are crystalline beings. And when you associate yourself with something like a crystal or an essential oil whose energy is so beautiful and clear, energy has this beautiful way of associating with the higher vibration and acclimating to the higher vibration. So when you wear crystals and you ingest or aromatherapy take essential oils or listen to this beautiful music like Gabriel was doing, your body, if it's not too great of a gap, will acclimate to the higher energy, and it will remember that that is our vibration, that is our natural state of being. And you see crystals and essential oils and these sound healing bowls, they don't have negative thoughts bringing them down. They're in a state of pure energy all the time. And so when we hold them and we get near them, we bring that energy in, and it's like reminding our bodies who we truly are, and so we remember. And then we readjust, we reacclimate. And that's why we do that. And when you do that, then there's kind of like these negative thoughts that can be in your head. And when I use the word negative, I mean low vibrational. Things that are not love-based. Anything that's judgmental or fear-based or comparison-based, those thoughts bring your vibration down. And so when you associate yourself with the higher vibrations, it becomes easier to identify when you're engaging in a process that's bringing your vibration down, that you can say, oh, okay, I'm not going to do that. Instead of getting caught up in a loop and not even realizing that you're doing it. So it creates awareness. That's why we borrow the energy of those that are in higher vibrational frequency so that we can resonate with it, emulate it, and know when we're not emulating it. And why emulate the higher vibrations? You feel better. You absolutely feel amazing. And bring it on. Don't just wear one crystal. Do the essential oils and do all the crystals and listen to all the music and start governing your thoughts, and it gets better and better and better. And there's a saying that people who take Access Consciousness, and you can always tell somebody who's taken an Access Consciousness course, they have a phrase that they always use, how much better can it get? How much better can it get? And although I have taken it and I don't engage in that expression, when I hear it, I always smile because I like being reminded, how much better can it get? It's such an open-ended way to be, such an unlimited thought process. What if it could just keep getting better every day? What if you could feel better, smile more, feel more at peace, live every day without anger, live every day without fear or feelings of scarcity and lack. Do you believe that's possible? It is. You know, we live in a culture that talks about, oh, that's life, school of hard knocks, and you got to work hard to get ahead. And we've been so entrenched in these beliefs. And I start to question, who thought of this stuff? Who said this stuff? Why is that real? And you know, I'll never forget the day that Audubon and I were living in Irvine, and we decided to move to Laguna Beach. We decided to sell our house and move to Laguna Beach, and it was our dream. We had talked about it for years, and we just said one day, you know what, let's just do it. It's going to mean something a little smaller, something a little older. And I called my mother and I said, we're selling the house and we're going to move to Laguna Beach. We've always dreamed of living there. And she didn't mean to be putting me down, but automatically she said, you can't just sell your house and go live your dream in Laguna Beach. And I said, why not? And again, she didn't mean to put me down, but it was just so automatic to put the you can't in front of everything. How many of you spend your day thinking of all the things you can't do, that you shouldn't do, that you aren't able to do, that you can't get past, that you'll never be able to move forward through? And it's just because that's what we've all been taught. My loving parents, loving teachers, loving siblings, spouses, even our kids sometimes. As we begin to shift now, I'm noticing that, you know, even my kids are coming back and they're saying some of the I can't things, which, you know, I unconsciously taught them when they were younger. And now I look at them and say, sure you can. Do anything you want. There's absolutely nothing beyond your dreams. And our daughter right now is applying to colleges. We've got 4 kids, and the last one is a senior in high school. We're almost free. A few more months, and we get to buy whatever groceries we want and stay out as late as we want to without having to be home for somebody who's got a curfew. Our curfew's going to get listed. And she's applying to some colleges right now, and Reed is the one that she would really like to go to. It's the one up in Oregon that Steve Jobs went to. But the tuition is something like $30,000 a year, and you haven't even bought a burger yet, or a book, or a pencil, or a considered dorm. And she just said, yeah, out-of-state tuition at a private college. But I said, apply for it. And she said, but we can't afford it. And I said, I don't care, just apply. If you get in, we'll find a way. With financial aids, or loans, or this, or family, or something, do it, we'll find a way. It may not happen, but the point of it was, don't start thinking in limitations. Don't start saying that won't happen. It could happen. If the Angels can win the World Series, anything can happen. So I challenge you to start thinking out of the box and just thinking it's possible. You don't have to say, I can do it, so your ego comes back in and starts an argument with you and says, no, you can't. But if you say, it's possible, it's a little harder for your ego to argue with when you say it's possible. And as soon as you start recognizing that it's possible, then anything can happen. Even if you said to yourself, there's only a 1 in a million chance, but you know what? It's possible. As long as you start thinking in terms of possibilities, then you don't limit yourself in any way, shape, or form, and energy opens. And then energy flows. Because when you say you can't, you close down the energy. But when you say, in some way, shape, or form, it's possible. And then go into surrender. And say, I don't know how, but in some way, in some shape, in some form, in some place, the universe has got a way of showing me how this could work. And I'm open to having that revealed to me. And I don't really know all the answers, but the universe does. And I'm allowing myself to have the universe show them to me. That is high vibrational. That's energy. That's keeping things flowing. That's being plugged in. And when you do that, magic happens. Possibilities that you would never have imagined how it can work will start showing up in your life. And you can start by supplementing with energy that is pure, bringing that into your life, and then start retraining yourself into possibilities. So Jennifer today is going to talk to us about feng shui, which is probably, when you look at, I love the phrase new age, because most of the stuff that we use is so old. Feng shui is thousands of years old. Hands-on healing has been around. Crystals have been around. And the three wise kings brought Jesus frankincense and myrrh. They were into essential oils. Herbology, divination. There isn't one new thing that New Agers are doing. We're just thinking in new thoughts and going back to these old time-tested beliefs. Feng Shui has been around just, I think, do they even know where it started?
Well, it's been around for 5,000 years, but the way it's practiced today, it's 1,500 years.
Still pretty old. So tell us a little bit about, Jennifer, I'm a CPA or rather I'm a practicing CPA, and Jennifer has her MBA in finance, and so a lot of people have now left corporate jobs or holding their day jobs and doing these things part-time, but Jennifer left the corporate field and is now doing this full-time, and so I want to just acknowledge her for a minute. It takes a lot of courage to leave, 401ks and paid vacation and sick time and regular paychecks, and, it takes a lot of courage. So when we step into that, so I just want to acknowledge you for a minute for having the courage to step in and do this work.
Thank you.
And tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into it, and I like what you were telling me before, that you're working on corporate projects, housing projects. She's going in and helping them do the feng shui energy right from the ground up, which I think that is just amazing.
So for me, the reason why I got into this, and, we all have a story, and everyone, has had difficult upbringings or a difficult past. And in my 20s, I spent a lot of my time mourning, because during that time, my mother had passed away, and then my grandmother, and then my uncle. So I was in this really tumultuous time, and I was always been sensitive to energy. And during that time, I was in graduate school, I was working full-time in corporate America, and then I was dealing with these health issues that I had from all the people that had passed away, because I was so sensitive, to losing people that you're so close to. And so at that time, that's when I began my spiritual journey. And so I was of the mindset that regardless of where you've come from or what you've been through, that you can overcome anything, and you totally can. And so when I was in corporate America, I was like, I can't do this. I need to help people. I need to go out there, because I've experienced so much in my life, and I know I have so much to give. I have to go out there and share this information with people. So I was working with a spiritual teacher at the time, and I was like, what am I going to do with my life? What am I going to do to help people? That question that everyone has. And she was like, you need to get into feng shui. And I looked at her and I was like, feng shui? Oh my God. I'm spiritual, but I don't know if I'm woo-woo enough to do that, right? Because everyone thinks you have to be a little bit out there to be spiritual, but you don't. And so I did. And in 2008, we had the worst economy this country has ever seen, right? The financial institutions crashed, the stock market shut down, the real estate market collapsed. And I decided to start my business. And everyone was like, oh my God, you're so crazy. What are you doing? You're going to lose all your money, all the money that you made in your 401k. Like, my family was tripping out on me. They were just like, you're crazy. And I was like, no, I'm going to do it. And you know why? Because I've spent so many years fine-tuning my spiritual practice. And I got myself to the point where you can do anything, and you really can. And I started my business, and it's been amazing ever since. And now I come and I lecture to people, and I teach them about how they can use the energy in their homes or businesses to support them, to really create the life that you want to achieve. And I think the most important thing, too, with energy that a lot of people, they don't think about, and you need to think about, is wherever you are at that moment in time. Say you're looking for a new home, or you're looking for a new office for your business. Wherever you are at that moment in time energetically, you're going to attract a home or a business that matches your energy. It's that whole law of attraction thing, like attracts like, right? So if you're in a place where maybe you were in a relationship and that person wasn't faithful to you, or you were in a situation where you know, you didn't feel like you deserved to make a lot of money, you're going to attract a home or a business that has that same energy, because you're going to be matching that vibration. You're going to pull from that energy depending on what you need to experience in life. So the whole point of classical feng shui is that regardless of where you are at that moment in time, you can change it. And so a lot of times what happens is, if someone like me comes in, or you have someone else come in, so the energy is one way, then we change the vibration and we lift the vibration or the energy of the home or business. Now your energy has to catch up to it, right? Because you're down here and your home or your business is up here. So sometimes what I tell people is things will fall apart a little bit before they get better. And that's only because you're making way for new things to come in. And so the whole point of energy, and I know everyone's experienced this, you know when you go into like a store or someone's home and you're like, oh, this place feels so gross, I have to get out of here? That's the feng shui. Or have you guys ever seen like a business that's in one location and maybe like 6 or 7 stores will keep going in and out of there and they last like maybe a year? That's not a coincidence. That's the energy of the space. And the same thing, like when you move into a home, things could be like fantastic for money, or maybe it's difficult for you to get like married or meet a partner, or maybe your health suffers. Like when I studied this for 2 years. I went back and I feng shuied every single home that I ever lived in, starting from my childhood, because I wanted to see if my experiences matched the energy in the homes, and they totally did. Do you guys know what a T-juncture home is? Okay, a T-juncture home is just a normal home that faces the road, and then there's another road that either dead ends at the front door or the garage. So it forms a T to the home. So with energy in a home or business, the whole point is for the energy to stay and collect around the property and for it to flow benevolently, because that's what brings people opportunities for money, relationships, and health. Anytime that doesn't happen, it'll force the energy to start flowing destructively, and that's when it'll manifest negatively for people, and they'll start experiencing negative things. So with the T-juncture home, the energy is literally being slammed up against the property. So usually people that live in these homes, these are homes usually that are on like the 5 o'clock news where a car came careening into someone's living room or bedroom. These are usually the homes that are on there, right? So with the T-juncture home, there's a couple of things that happen. Because the energy is flowing so aggressively towards the property, usually people that are living in these homes, it'll be the neighborhood home where it comes up for sale, or people are moving in and out every couple of years, and it's usually because they get divorced or they're having money issues and sometimes health issues as well. So when you live in a home like this, I always tell people to pass on these properties, because there's always a list of properties I tell people to pass on, because yeah, I can fix the property and make it okay, but the whole point of classical feng shui is to get a good property and enhance it and make it better, because that's what gives people a competitive advantage, or that's what gives people more of a better opportunity to have a good life. So in a T-juncture home, when I was little, I grew up in a T-juncture home. Of course, I didn't know that it was a T-juncture home at the time, right? So in this home, my parents got divorced. I was hospitalized twice, once because I got hit by a car, another time because I had pneumonia. My sister and I fought incessantly. And then my parents had financial issues in this home. So of course we lived there for probably 2 years, and then we left, and then I'm sure the next family that moved in might have experienced something similar, if not, you know, worse. So that's what happens when you live in a home or in a business. And a lot of times men will tell me, because men are my biggest skeptics, but I love it. Because I'm not trying to prove anyone right or wrong, I just want them to experience it. But usually they'll tell me, you know what, I don't feel energy, I don't feel anything. And I say that's okay, because it doesn't matter if you feel it, you're experiencing it. So the minute you move into a home, say you start making a lot of money, you're feeling the energy, and that energy is supporting you to make money. Or if you move into a home and you're getting ill all the time, even though you don't know that you're feeling the energy, it's there to support you, good, bad, negative, neutral. That's why I always tell people, you know, when you're out looking for a home, always be in a really positive, uplifting mindset, and it has to be authentic. Like, you can't just, you know, pretend like it's not. So I always tell people, like, before you go buy a home, like, if you're not going to use a professional, fake it until you make it, right? Have you guys heard that saying? So, like, for a month, pretend like you're happy every single day. You know, pretend like you're making so much money every single day, that you have the best health and the best life and the best whatever. And then eventually, it'll happen. Your energy will get there, and it'll totally happen. So that's why I love you know, lecturing to people and teaching people about different properties, because it makes a huge difference. Like, another property that makes it difficult for people, and a lot of classical feng shui is common sense. is properties next to freeways or properties next to busy roads. So in LA, this is really apparent. I just moved from LA to here. And in LA, it's so super obvious. But when you're in a lower chi or lower energy area, not only can you feel it, you can see it. So homes look a little bit more dilapidated. You know, maybe there's like tagging on the neighborhood, you know, those like high retaining walls that they have. So when you live next to a freeway or busy roads, the energy or the chi that comes to your property can't pool or collect on the property. So it gets dissipated by the traffic or the coming and going or the busyness of, you know, where you're living. So usually in these homes, people will experience money issues, and they'll sometimes experience like anxiety, hypertension, nervousness, just because there's so much energy being moved around and it's not staying on the property. And these are usually homes that are vulnerable. So do you guys remember, and I use this example because I grew up in Irvine, do you guys remember the Night Stalker in the 80s? Okay, I was terrorized by him because I lived in Irvine, and he would hit up all the homes on the freeway, next to the freeway. And at the time, we were living next to the freeway, and it was the dead of summer, and we couldn't have the windows open because everyone was afraid of him, right? Do you guys know why he hit up all those homes next to the freeway? It's because it's an easy way in and an easy way out, right? So if you're going to commit a crime or do something negative, you're going to want to be in a situation where you can get away quickly. So that's why homes next to freeways or busy roads are very vulnerable, not just because of the traffic, but because it brings in more criminal activity. So what I tell people in homes like this, A, if you're shopping for a home, pass on these properties, but if you have no choice and you have to stay there because you're upside down or whatever your financial situation is, you need another retaining wall, not just the one that the freeway puts to block out the sound. You need another one around your property so that the chi or the energy can stay on your property, and that will be more beneficial for people that are living on that property. Another home that can be difficult for people, but is also easy to remedy, is homes located in mountainous areas. So because Laguna Beach, you know, in LA, when I was there, Malibu, the Palisades, you know, we have very dynamic land here because we have the ocean, we have the mountains, we have flat land. So when you're in an area where it's mountainous, you need to make sure that your property is secure. Because if you envision energy like water, anytime if you're hosing your front yard, your backyard, or your side yard, if the water's running down the hill, so is the energy. And if the energy runs down the hill, that means that it's more difficult for people living in those homes and they're not getting the opportunities for money, relationships, and health. So the most severe is if your home has a drop off in the backyard and there's no fencing, there's no landscaping or no retaining wall, that usually indicates money issues. If you have a drop off on the right side of your home, and the right side is the female side, and we consider the right side as you're looking out your front door. So it's not the bird's eye view right side, it's out, so you're looking towards the street. That usually indicates that females in the home are unsupported, and if there's a single man living there and he wants to either get married or start dating, it might be more difficult for him to attract a female. Now, if the left side of your home drops off as you're looking outside, that indicates that males in the homes are unsupported, right? So a single female living in that home might have a harder time, you know, getting a boyfriend or getting married. So with these properties, you want to make sure they're secure. And the easiest way, because there's a lot of times where HOAs restrict what you can do to your home or your condo, you could do thick landscaping, and that'll keep the chi or the energy on your property. Now, water in classical feng shui is like one of the ultimate wealth secrets, and you can use it not only to make money, but also for better relationships and better health. So the placement of water is going to be dependent on the direction that your home faces, when you moved in, and if you've done any renovations. So some homes can support water in the front, some in the back, and some on the sides. So what I tell people, because I don't know, you know, the direction that your home faces, and people always ask me, oh, what about my pool, or what about my jacuzzi, or my pond, or my, you know, water feature? You'll know if the water feature is supporting you by the courses of events that have taken in since you've moved into your home. Like, for example, I had this one client who lived in the valley, and after 4 years of living in her home, she decided to put a pool in the backyard. And for her, that was really good. The pool was really well placed. It was excellent for money. So I asked her, just because I wanted her to pay attention to how energy worked in her home, I said, since you put it, and she was in sales, so she could actually quantify the results because she had quotas every single week and she had numbers that she had to reach. So it was easy for her to answer me. So I asked her, since you put in the pool, you know, how has your business been? How have sales been? And so she thought about it for a second. She's like, actually, now that you bring it up, it's been really good and my sales did get better. So that's a way for you to measure to see if you have a water feature in your home, if it's a good result or not. And I had another client who, once they put in the jacuzzi in their backyard, her and her husband started fighting more, right? So that was a way to kind of quantify and see. So you can kind of pay attention to things like that to see how will it affect you. So like with us, how you were talking about the Bagua, there's so many different types of feng shui. There's Western feng shui, there's classical, there's like New Age, there's feng shui for your pet, for your clothes, for your cats. Okay, so we do classical feng shui, which is straight up from China. We don't water it down. It is what it is. And basically the most important thing is how you're situated on the outside. So what roads are coming to your home, what mountains are around your home, their water features, because all that is energy, and all that energy will affect the occupants living in the home. And then we look inside the home to see what direction are people sleeping to, what doors are they using to come in and out of their home, and what direction do those doors face? What direction are they facing when they're working, when they're watching TV? Because all that activates energy. So by putting the pieces of the puzzles together, you know, I can read a home from the outside and I can say, yeah, I know how this will affect people. But then by looking at the inside to see how they're activating their energy, then I can fine tune and say, okay, this person might be more likely to have issues with this, or this person is probably doing really well with this. So, and how we do that is we use a compass, which is called the Lopan. It's a Chinese compass. And we take a compass reading of the building, we find out when people moved in. And that gives us an energy chart of the building. It's called the Flying Stars chart. And it tells us anything and everything that will affect people that has to do with the three main things in life: money, relationships, and health. And so then we find out people's birth dates as well, because that tells us how that building will affect that person. Because what might be good for me, a building that might be good for me, may not be good for you, and vice versa. So by gathering all this information, I call it the data collection, then we are able to really assess how a home or a business affects people. And based on people's goals, we're able to, for the most part, you know, sometimes there's extreme cases where 5% of the time people have to move, but it's rare. Most of the time we're able to help people. But when I learned this, the most fascinating part that I thought was interesting, just because of my business background, is Donald Trump is into classical feng shui. And the reason why he got into it, do you guys remember in the 90s when he was bankrupt?
Yeah.
He's been bankrupt several times, and a lot of people don't realize this, so he's come in and out of money a lot of times. So in the 90s, he wanted to build like the famous Trump Towers, and he went to some investors in Southeast Asia and Hong Kong, and he said, you know, will you give me the financing so I could build these towers, because I know I can make them really great. And they said yes, but you know, the prerequisite was you have to incorporate classical feng shui into the design of the building. And so for him, he was like, okay, I don't really care, whatever. You know, so he did it because he just wanted the money. But he loved the results so much that now he uses it for every single building. And it's the same thing with Steve Wynn, you know, the hotel magnate in Las Vegas. He does it, Richard Branson, Bill Gates, Chase Bank, Wells Fargo, Disney. And I think it's interesting with the banks, like with
I wish
Chase.
that was more well known.
Right?
Yes.
I know, that's why. I think it's so fascinating.
I mean,
And the
that is a
reason,
real attestation.
but you know why it's not well known? It's because all their businesses are conservative in nature, and they don't want to turn off that part of the population that's not privy to the same information we have, and also because it gives them a competitive advantage. Yeah. But what I think is interesting is that with Chase Bank and Wells Fargo, like in 2008 when all the financial institutions were collapsing and banks were merging and other banks were you know, closing, whatever, those banks are still around. So it's interesting, you know, to see how when you have energy that really supports you, how much you can achieve. And I'm not saying everything's going to be rainbows and lollipops, even though I always say that my life is rainbows and lollipops because that's how I like to live. But, you know, there's always going to be challenges, but we're on the learning planet, right? Like, there's never going to be a moment in time where there's no challenges. We're here to learn and to keep evolving and to keep growing and to keep raising our vibration. And that's why I always tell people, when you tap into the group consciousness, because we all do it, whether it's subconscious or conscious, tap into that part of the group consciousness where you know that things are going to be better and that things can change. Because regardless of what's happening with the world economy or our local economy or the national economy, it doesn't matter. People are still making tons of money. People are in love and happy. People have great health. So all that, that's why I'm always like, my whole thing is that you can make things better, because I know where I came from and I know where you guys have come from, because we all have a story. And it doesn't matter. Like, regardless of what someone tells you that you can't do it, you can do it. You could do anything you set your mind to. So that's why I love coming out and, you know, talking to people and teaching them about different things that has to do with their business or their homes.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's open us up to any questions. Anybody have any questions about feng shui or their house or anything? Or
What about single loaded houses?
What's a single loaded
Uh,
house?
It's a house on one side of the street and nothing on the other, say a park or say, but definitely no houses on the other side. It'd be like a park or something.
Okay, but the house has houses around it?
Yeah, one side of the street all has houses, and the other side is no houses,
Oh, that's fine. There's no issue there. Yeah.
unless it's a freeway.
Yeah. Yeah. And across the street, is there any construction or anything like that?
No.
It's just like a regular
It's
park?
it's regular park.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
But I was wondering, like, when you have double loaded, what I call it double loaded, houses on each side, then was there energy with the neighbors, like, looking at each other?
No, it's actually good to have houses around you. Like, you don't want to be that one house that's isolated in the middle of nowhere, because then the chi has it just like comes and goes. You want either houses, you know, to the left of you, to the right of you, and behind you. So that it's kind of, I call it like your home is getting an energetic hug. So, because your property is being surrounded, the energy now can come to your home and pool. It has a place to pool and collect. So that's a good thing.
So relative to an energetic hug
Mm-hmm.
in a townhome complex,
Mhm.
hug, hug, hug.
how loved you must feel.
An upper balcony that opens to a vista, not literally, the vista's further away, but there are homes below and then there's mountains all around. Does the energy flow off that balcony because there's a drop under there?
No. Balconies is totally different. With balconies, like when you're home, when the energy comes in from your home, there's a certain pattern that it takes, and it starts off in the middle of your home and then it goes in different directions. So like when you're on the second floor, it's fine, or on the first floor, it's fine. We only worry about things when it's the actual structure is surrounded by something close to a drop-off. Because then when the energy is on the outside, it just drops off the hill. So like all the people that are living at the bottom of the hill are getting all the opportunities for money, relationships, and health. And I always tell people to pay attention, like in mountainous areas, because you could see how the chi or the energy flows by envisioning it like water. And so usually the lower lying places, all the energy or chi is collecting there. And that'll usually be the person in the neighborhood that has like the Porsche and the toys and the jet skis, you know, so you can always see like who's doing better in a neighborhood based on how the home is situated.
So in Laguna Beach, as the mountain goes up, people's front door face the ocean, but they've got earth behind them. And as you go up the hills, of course, those are the more expensive homes that keep going up.
And that's
into the-
excellent to be supported by a huge mountain like that behind.
So that makes a lot of sense.
Mhm.
Anybody else, Marty?
I went to large aquariums, so you're saying that they should be placed in certain areas?
Well, with aquariums, because they're closed, right? They're not open. We don't really worry about those. I only worry about things that are like where the water's exposed, because energy hovers over water, but if it's covered up, it's a mute point.
So if you have a fountain, it should be strategically placed.
Absolutely, yeah.
So why do Chinese restaurants always have a fish aquarium when you walk in? That's a whole
You know,
most Chinese restaurants have like an aquarium.
Yeah, they do.
At least the ones
I
I've
think it's
seen.
the fish they have in there, right? Don't they koi fish?
yeah. It's not because usually they'll have an aquarium. It's not because of the water placement. It's because of what she said, because of the fish.
Oh, the
Colorful.
fish, the
Yeah.
Type of fish.
Colorful and-
They usually always have, they usually have the same, I think.
But
Yeah,
most
and with fountains, like a small fountain like that, like people are like, "Ooh, I'm gonna get a fountain," because you know I use a fountain to activate the money energy, and they're like, "I'm gonna get a small little table fountain like that." Fountains like that, you will wait 50 years for the money to come. We talk about like water features, like fountains. Like when I tell people to get a fountain, you know, it has to be like if they're in a 1-bedroom apartment, it's at least 4 feet tall. You know what I'm saying? So don't worry about little fountains like that because nothing will happen.
It's like a
trust
gnat.
me.
What if you get a fish in a little, is it the fish that attract, or is it they just like the fish, or is there an energy attraction there?
For
The fish.
no, the fish energetically it won't do anything good or bad.
Oh.
Like if you get one of those little fish bowls, it won't do anything good or bad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you'd want your fountain in the prosperity bauble?
See, that's Western feng shui.
Oh, okay.
And so with Western feng shui, what they do is they take the bagua, which we use, but we use it on a deeper level. And the reason why they brought it is because it's 30 years old, Western feng shui. And so this professor wanted to introduce Westerners to feng shui. But if you introduce Westerners to feng shui that's 5,000 years old, it's too much for us. Like it takes years to learn this, and that's why it took me a long time to study it. So he kind of took this watered down version that says every single door faces north, and if you line up your door like this, then you'll have a money, wealth, relationship, fame corner, which that's fine, but a lot of times with that, it's hit or miss results. And I always tell people, like, if you're trying to activate, because in LA, you know, I work in LA a lot, and I have a lot of clients, you know, in the entertainment industry, and, you know, there's people that are like, yeah, I want to activate my fame corner. You know, and it doesn't work like that. Not everyone has a fame corner. And if we did, we'd all be famous, right? Some homes do have the fame energy, and it's dependent on the direction that your home faces and when you moved in and if you've done renovations. And so if it naturally has that fame energy, then yeah, I can activate it. But if it doesn't, I can't just like, you know, bring it out like, you know, out of the thin air. Yes.
So I have a fountain that's like 4 or 5 feet, maybe 4, in my front porch. Is that a good place?
It depends on the direction that your home faces and when you moved in. It could be good. How long have you had your fountain there?
Well, it was there when I moved in.
Oh, it
I've
was?
been there 5 years.
Okay, so have you noticed like anything, you know, extreme good or bad that's happened? Or consistent? Like have things been consistently good or have they been up?
In my life?
Yeah, like financially with
my
relationships?
Mommy's health. My mom's health is
And she
poor.
lives with you?
No, she lives in the same block.
Okay, so that wouldn't affect. Anything like for you, have you had any health issues or money or relationship issues? Or have things been consistent?
Consistently not good.
Okay, so then what I would say to you is turn off that fountain.
It doesn't have any water in it now.
Oh, it doesn't? Okay, then that's fine. But
It's
did it
just
ever
like-
have water in it?
Oh yeah, of course.
Oh, okay. And so things are still not consistently good with it being off?